Hello.
So today we're out in North Saanich at a place called the Sandown Centre for Regenerative Agriculture.
Regenerative Agriculture.
Regenerative. I find that word extremely tricky.
Hopefully by the end of this video we'll get to learn what that word actually means.
So we're going to be chatting with some of the folks involved out here, including Jen Rashleigh, who is spearheading a lot of the work going out here, Anna-Lise, Veronique, and Carol, who are farmpreneurs. We're here at Sandown Centre today out in North Saanich, and we have the privilege of talking with Jen Rashleigh, who is behind this whole incredible regenerative organic farming project out here. So yeah, Jen, we'd just love to hear about how did this get started here, and what's your role in it?
So these sorts of projects take years. They take years in the making. And there are different people who are part of the effort along the way. So I would say that this effort and vision of this site as a space for community growing, community food production, I think it began probably more than 10 years ago. And there was a private family, the Randall family, who ran a racetrack here, right? And people remember coming to Sandown racetrack and putting bids in, or whatever you call it, putting bets in. And there were 2 racetracks, there were warm-up tracks. It was a really, really big part of this area. But then that era waned, and it came time that the Randalls wanted to sell. And the district at the time set, both the staff and council said, we've got a different vision. We have a different focus on food production and agriculture that we want to really, really see happen.
My name is Veronique, and my background is as a professional contemporary dancer. And I've transitioned into the farming world, which seems funny, but they seem to fit together in a nice way.
Why farming? What was your moment of choosing to do this? What was it?
It was kind of by accident. I was between dance contracts and wasn't really finding much and was feeling a bit frustrated. So I applied for SOIL, the Stewards of Irreplaceable Land, and ended up working for a year at ALM Farm in Souk, and just totally fell in love with it. It was kind of something I'd grown up with, having a really beautiful garden at home, but I didn't really, it was just something I was used to, didn't really think much of it, and then kind of being thrown into it for a full year, just really realized how it tied in my love for connecting to the land, being outside and growing food. So it was sort of by accident, but totally just fell in love with it and knew it was something that I needed to tie into whatever I do.
Now, we are, in that first marathon stretch of it being, a not-for-profit that's been established. We've got a board. All that has happened in the last year and a half. We've been so fortunate to receive the blessing and funding from the District of North Saanich for 3 years. We've got a 10-year lease, and we are here to show what can be done and to say this is what integrated, multifaceted teaching and learning around regenerative agriculture looks like. This is what partnership building looks like. This is what co-management of the land looks like. This is what mentorship and culture building looks like.
My name's Anna-Lise, and I live over there on the hill. And I grew up over there on another hill. I'm a fundraiser and an event producer, generally in the charitable space, putting on events that raise money for good causes. So I chose herbs because I felt as though they were probably the most complementary to this space. When I was reading about the land and we've got this clay soil. It's a Mediterranean-like growing climate. What can you do there? And there's fruit trees and there's fig trees and there's all kinds of fun stuff. But those are a big commitment. Those take several years to come along. So I thought, well, what's a smaller perennial? And last year when we started to see the fragility of our supply chain, this seemed like a good opportunity to insert growing something locally, which we can do very well here, grow these herbs. And it's a bit complementary. Like lots of people are in the market farm garden. I don't have the same ambition as some of our other farmers here to do CSAs. I was trying to think of what's a niche that I can get into that would do well here. And so I settled on herbs. I've seen small amounts of herbs being grown. When you walk around the markets, you can find a lovely basil and lots of other things. But I just thought perhaps I could grow our own spice pantry here in North Saanich.
Well, and when we talk about sustainable and regenerative agriculture and farming, it has to be sustainable for the growers, for the farmers. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really smart to pick a niche. And a lot of research I've done, culinary herbs are very in right now. And you can make a lot per pound.
Yeah.
Per weight that you're selling it for. And the fact that you're cutting down that carbon footprint, I think is a really smart business move to create that niche in the market for yourself. So good for you.
I'm Carol Highland, and I am growing flax. And the reason I picked flax was because it's kind of in my family heritage. So it's been a real discovery. I'm not new to gardening or farming or anything like that, but I'm certainly brand new to growing a crop, especially any kind of a cereal crop. So this has been a foray into something I just had never explored before, and it's been so rewarding. Traditionally, women and children would have gone into the flax fields in Ireland, and they would have weeded between, and you can actually step on the crop up until it gets about this size, about 4 to 6 inches. And then, so it's so strong, it's so fibrous that it'll just pop itself back up, usually within 24 hours or even less. And I have already walked through all of this, including like that patch there has been fully weeded, stepped on, and you can see you can't even tell I've been in there. But after that, it starts to do some damage once it gets too big. But
these are the potatoes. They're planted in a funky way. This is where the rocky road cuts through. So I decided to skip planting deep potatoes in here so I didn't have to dig through the rocks. But the rock picking has been intense. We're getting there. Last heat wave. These summer squash zucchinis have probably tripled in size. They're massive. We've got some big, beautiful flowers in there. I just picked a bunch of them yesterday. Yeah.
Are you selling at market yet?
Not yet. I think I would like to. I'm just doing an email newsletter right now. And then they come and pick up from my house. But I think I'd like to. I'm doing a night market next weekend, which will be my first market.
So the Farmpreneur Program is a supported, mentored incubator plot program. And it's sort of like Farm School Lite. And so we had looked around at various different models. There are incubator plots programs, and there are also farm school programs. And we, to be honest, we didn't have the funds. We didn't have the revenue to be able to offer a full-blown, 5-day-a-week or even 3-day-a-week, classroom-focused farm school program. And so we rejigged it and we made it lighter. And we thought, okay, what about if we just have guest mentors? What about if we just had 8 hours a week of mentorship? What if we really offer this to people who were maybe even mid-career, who had some years under their belt, who had some growing experience under the belt, maybe had run another business elsewhere, and they wanted to really be able to do a big pivot, and they wanted to be supported in their pivot, but they bring a lot of those soft and hard skills to it as well, and financial resources as well.
Tell us about the moment when you saw how did you hear about the Farmpreneur Program?
I felt like I kind of just accidentally fell into that too. My sister sent me the link that it was happening, and it happened very fast. You know, it was always something I knew in my mind that I wanted to start a farm one day, but it felt very distant, and I didn't really know what that would look like. And yeah, it happened very quickly, and all of a sudden I had this space that I had to fill with a bunch of plants. So it was really exciting. I think my brain didn't probably process it for a while until it was really happening. But yeah, it just seemed like the right fit to be in a place where there was community and collaboration, and I wasn't just like out by myself in the field crying because I can't figure out what to do. There were other people around me who were like going to be in the same boat and like supporting each other. And that's really what appealed to me, I think, about the Farmpreneur Program.
I knew that this was going to be more than just the land. It was going to be the people, the community, the knowledge, the tools. And that is so much more appealing than doing this in isolation. We've all had enough of isolation lately, and everyone has their own style, which I think is really cool to see as well. And contrasted against, like, we've got the fickle fig folks down there, and being able to tap their brains every once in a while and ask, you know, hey, what do you think this is about? Or, hey, have you tried this? Or even just commiserating. When Fickle Fig Steve said he can't even grow basil, I was like, oh, if you've been doing it for 16 years and you're struggling, then I'm only at like year 3 and I'm still struggling. So it's that feels good. So.
What is interesting about sort of figuring out how to grow food or how to grow crops for market here is it's a combination of horticultural skills and business skills, marketing skills, figuring out what value added and diverse revenue streams and what is that going to mean to me. That is, I think, I see as the kind of the gap of what we tend to be teaching. We focus on the horticulture perhaps, or we go for a farmer's market and CSA model, and I think we need to really, really dig deep into that question of how are we going to make sure that farmers have right livelihood? What is the role of carbon markets for farmers? What about the fact that farmers are stewards of ecological assets and ecological services? What does it look like to really co-brand? How are we going to do that? How do we create that beautiful synergy of like individual passion and brand, but within a larger context? That is what I really hope, like the entrepreneurial spirit, that is what I really hope for us to support. How do we make partnerships with chefs? How do we create special events? How do we reach out to a boutique customer, or how do we reach out to like a grassroots sort of hippie family? Like what are the differences of that? What are the expectations? What are the price points? What are the revenue expectations you can have? Those are all part of this, but we're not teaching it in a fulsome way. We are providing a series of relationships with different experts in the field that then they can pick and choose from, and they can follow those relationships as they need to. And I think that's the way to go, because that's actually the way life works. Right?
It really is.
Can you speak about the mentorship a bit? Like, how has that been for you?
It's been great, actually. I really enjoyed the Friday sessions. You know, having speakers come in and learning from the other younger entrepreneurs and where they've come from and their backgrounds and their motivation. And you know, and I've been able to give back a bit too, right? Because I've had a little bit of experience.
Yeah, so it's nicely structured in a way that we're getting not only mentorship about like growing food, but we're getting business mentorship as well, which for me, I find to be the more daunting aspects. Like I can make a bunch of mistakes growing stuff and I'll get over it. But in terms of like turning that into a business, that's where I don't necessarily know all the answers. So it's nice to have kind of all those aspects to it. and then being able to bring people in who are experts and can talk to us about specific things, because I don't think one person can necessarily hold all of that knowledge. So it's nice to have the diversity of people that come through here.
One really unique part of the Farmpreneur Program that differs it from other farm school or incubator farm programs is that there is no end date on the leases. One of the biggest challenges to farmers starting out these days is access to land and access to long-term land tenure. So that's something that really excites me about what's happening with the Farmpreneur Program here, that the growers that are learning about what's the soil like here, what are the environmental conditions that are really building that soil, can do that for a long time here and won't get kicked off.
Yeah.
So that gives me hope for continuing to build the food community and a sustainable food community based on food security here on the island.
It definitely seems like that's about understanding the cycle of everything, the seasons and the weather and the water and the flock of geese, and finding a way to work within that cycle and not just try to lord over it in traditional farming practices that we all have tried probably at some point, but to be a companion to it maybe, and come alongside all of the dandelions and cut bugs and mosquitoes and grumpy taxpayers, and find a way to be happy in that space.
It's really about supporting farmers and building that community and building that community knowledge base. It's so important. We can't do this on our own. If you're growing on your own, it's very isolating. Many people say that, and you can't be an expert in everything. So if we bring those expert relationships in, that's the way to have a thriving community.
Can you talk about the role your mom has played?
Aw, my mom. She's like my she's the ultimate. She wants to be here at 7 a.m. every morning, and I think I have to just remind her sometimes to take it easy. But no, it's my mom is just she is my cheerleader and my best volunteer, and she makes great sandwiches, and she's just the best.
I don't think that this would look at all like this if it weren't for my dad. He put a ton of hours. He is so excited every time he comes out here and has plans and gives me his ideas, and he's an amazing food grower, so I'm always super welcome to have him out here. He's put in a lot of work. For me, farming is community. Farming is love. You need that for it to work. It's not something that's easy to do alone, and you really have to put a lot of care into it, and you need to love what you're doing. So it's not easy at all. So it's really nice to have those connections.
I'm also hoping that people are going to really come to understand that this is the headwaters of the Sandown Creek. This is a very important wetland zone, and we are taking care of this for the salmon habitat, and we're taking care of this for the clam beds to try and do the ecological restoration as part of our commitment to reconciliation. That's part of our work. That's a huge part of this work. And so this shouldn't all be farmed, but those parts that are should be done in a way that's extremely aware of and sensitive of the sacred ground that we are so lucky to be perched on. And it doesn't have to end.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing with us today and sharing your heart. And I really hope that our conversation today leads a lot of people to our website, Sandown Centre, and really builds the community out here.
Me too!
Yay! Well, a big thank you to Jen Rashleigh for her interviewing prowess.
Oh yeah.
And teaching us about the history of Sandown Centre. And
thank you to the Farmpreneurs as well, who shared a little bit about their experiences.
So Carol with the flax, Anna-Lise with the herbs, and Veronique with her market garden space. So many different ways to grow and to make a business out of growing as well, make it a sustainable livelihood. So check out the links below if you want to learn more about Sandown Centre, what's happening here, and the community out in North Saanich.
Yeah.
And again, like and subscribe, and share with your friends if you think that they would like to learn about what's happening here. And Osborne Seeds. Put some love on us. We're repping your stuff here.
Jen's always wearing this hat. It's about time Osborne Seeds sponsors us, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. It's a little hot out.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Should we get some cider?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I do.